Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Politically Depressed. As always, I'm your host, Ayman McAdam. Today, we're joined by another very special guest, Rawand Issa. She is a Lebanese illustrator and artist whose work I've followed for many years now. I'm very happy to be sharing space with her. And basically, we're going to talk a lot about the things that we have in common, specifically that's sort of like spurred on by a few stories that Rawand had written about a week ago that we'll talk a lot more about the content of those stories and why it kind of like really impacted me and made me want to, it was from those stories I reached out and I was like, hey, do you want to talk more about this on Politically Depressed? So before we get into introductions, just like to remind you all that this is a community-supported podcast. And so if you enjoy it and you like the work that I do, please consider supporting this podcast in a number of ways. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. I'm sorry, Rawand, I have to do this. If you're listening on a podcast app, leave a review or a rating. It just helps us boost in the algorithm. And if you want to go the extra mile, you can become a monthly member of the From the Periphery Media Collective Patreon, links in the description, or one-time donation in my tip jar. So with that said, hi Rawand, how are you doing? Oh, sorry. My voice really broke there. So with that said, hi Rawand, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Ayman. To say who am I, يعني?
However you'd like to introduce yourself, whatever you want to share about yourself.
Hi, my name is Rawand Issa. I'm a comic artist, graphic designer and writer from Lebanon, currently based in Lebanon after living in Istanbul for a while. Yeah, I think that's me.
Okay. I love your illustrations and I love the themes that you cover. It's been 5 years that I've been reading them and like they're very political, they're very cool, you have a very unique style, but it's just this kind of comics that are always like if informative or at least like emotionally engaging. And so we can talk a lot more about that later. But for now, I'll ask you the first question that I ask everybody, which is, how are you?
Yeah. I'm very overwhelmed. I recently asked my best friend to like stop asking me every day, how am I doing? Because I can't update her every day on my state. It has been very overwhelming because I recently came back to Lebanon. And I came back actually to live here. I came back, you know. It has been 6 months now that I'm back. And it was a very risky kind of step because I've left more than 3 years ago, and I've never visited since I left because I couldn't actually visit.
Mm.
I had a lot of guilt feeling when I left. I had because I was very attached to Beirut. I was very political in Beirut. I was very involved in my community in Beirut. And I never thought about leaving Beirut. So when I left, it was kind of leaving without looking back. So after the war, I decided that I need to come back, and because of a lot of reasons. So yeah, coming back was a very hard step, and I'm still processing it until now. 6 months, and I'm still trying to find my place here.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I mean, all of these are just huge steps, and they're not like choices that we made, um, in a vacuum, but also in the best of circumstances. For the post that you wrote on Instagram, touch on this a lot. Like a part of it is the very fact of you leaving. Um, and so for me, like part of the reason that was so impactful for me, obviously as a Lebanese who's very aware of like migration and hello, when you left and when I left, around the same time, I mean, I left, I think, 4 years ago. يعني, there's this new thing called the third wave of migration from Lebanon. You know, the first one in the 1917, وخلاص, and like at that time, then during the Civil War. And now, you know, that was like us, with all the terrible stuff happening in the country. And I also felt obviously that shame, the guilt, but also the guilt for feeling the guilt because it's like a privilege to be able to leave. And so that's why I really wanted to have this conversation because like it's at once a kind of unique experience, but also it's very relatable. Because I think, I mean, for us as Lebanese, you know, there are some specificities that would be nice to get into. But I think this is like, you know, the sort of shitty experiences of what we call al-ghirbe, the the weirdness of migration, whatever. It's a word that I've thought a lot about. But so I don't know. Do you want to talk about like how it was leaving?
Um, Leaving was I took this step very like I didn't really plan it.
Mm,
I just decided this like in a couple of days, took my stuff and left without telling anyone. And I only told my very, very, very close friend and of course my family. But I was involved in a community in Beirut and I had friends, of course, and didn't tell anyone because I didn't know how to. At that point, I really felt that I need to run away, and I didn't know how to explain why. Obviously, why everyone knows why, but like, how? What is your plan? Do you have anything in mind of what are you going to do? And I'm like, I don't have any of those. I just need to leave. I just feel like I need to leave. And I was also angry at my community.
mm,
Uh, I mean, we were talking about this. What does community mean, and why is community very important to us? Because, for example, coming from a village, that is of course very family oriented. When you say community, it's your family, it's your larger family, and that's it. It's your neighbors, and that's
mm,
it. There's no such thing as you leaving to a new city and starting to look for people to build a community with. This is an alien idea
mm,
to us. And as a person who left the village when I left to university because very conservative place and I'm a woman and I wanted to live my life the way I wanted, I had to leave. I didn't, of course, I chose to leave, but I felt like I had to leave if I wanted to live the life that I want. And leaving my original community meant that I can't go back.
mm,
First, because I'm now living a
mm,
new lifestyle that is not very accepted or digested in my original community, and second, because I'm building something else somewhere else. Like people are growing here, and I'm growing somewhere else, and I no longer belong. يعني.
mm,
So I think people like us who need to look for a new family or community that is far away or different from your family or your original community. This is something. It's a very hard. I don't know. It's a very hard experience also
mm,
because you really be like in your 20s trying to figure out what you're gonna do with your life and trying to figure out your own identity and building your experience and also trying to find a base for yourself. I don't know. I was lucky enough to be able to do that in Beirut because there was in Beirut. I don't know about now because things are very, very, very different than before. Especially in 2011, 12, 13, a lot of when the Arab Spring was happening, a lot of protests was happening in Beirut. A lot of political groups were coming together. So it was kind of easy to just jump into that community that was already happening.
And culturally, there was so much going on.
Yes,
Mm.
culturally, definitely. And as an artist, I also like, it was kind of, I wouldn't say easy, but like I was lucky to be able to like, for people to know me because I do art, and this is
Mm.
how I also like started to build connections with people. Um, but there is that uh, detachment that you do from your original community to a new community that you don't know anything about. And there's not only different lifestyle but also different classes in that new community, and people that you don't know really their ethics or how they live. So
Mm.
you're kind of like, I don't know, you're really like, you throw yourself into like an ocean and you're trying to find the island that you need to
Yeah.
that you need to grab. And then you grab to an island and you find like, at this island that you can't find food, and then you
Yeah.
leave this island and you go to another island, and you're like, and whenever you need to leave from one island to an island, there's a storm happening. So like,
That
is
that's
it
all very
familiar?
related. It's familiar. It's not necessarily for me because I'm from Beirut, and so like for me, there's like a kind of inter Beirut shifts that happen.
Mm,
But someone who's like very important in my life, my very good friend Hisham, who does the illustrations for Bizdri, um, who's the artist of the book A Letter Home. Uh, he comes from the north. He comes from a town in the north of Lebanon. So like moving to Beirut for him was the move. Was this big shift from like a small town to like the big city. And he moved in 2019. And for like he was only getting his feet wet a little bit, and then
mm,
poof, and then poof.
yeah. And then
Oh,
boof, really.
and then exactly, and then like 2021, he leaves to like Europe for the first time. For him, it was, and we both did this book together, A Letter Home, that really dealt with a lot of these sort of themes of like moving, but also like the shifting sands of coming from a place like Lebanon, where like even moving from one place to another feels sometimes huge, but then that there's such a push for us to leave. The economy is kind of functional in a way, semi-functional, by like emigrating the youth essentially. And so yeah, he had a lot of really bad experiences in Europe. Um, and so I guess that's the second part of the thing. You mentioned in your stories that, Istanbul wasn't very good for you. And for
Yeah,
here, yeah.
I mean, although finding yourself in Beirut was hard and it was already a little bit traumatic, but like we also kind of take it for granted, because when you move to a huge city like Istanbul, you really know what does it mean. Like it's like you were swimming in a sea and then you went to the ocean, like it's like, oh, okay. So the ocean is harder. Yani Istanbul is a huge city. Oh my God. Like I couldn't, until now, I'm still not processing how huge the city is. And there's a lot of people from like that are Turkish and non-Turkish, and I don't know, for people who work, who study, who it's a huge city with a lot of different people culturally, and different classes, different I don't know, communities, different there's Turkish, there's Syrian, there's Kurdish, there's I don't know, a bit of Europeans, a lot of different people. Um, and because it's a huge city, I think it's much harder to find your community in it. Like in Beirut, yani, I don't know, like as a person in your early 20s, you know where to hang out. You could go to Hamra, to Mar Mikhail, but there are specific places that you can hang out in. And it's small, like we know each other. Like even if I don't speak to you, but I would know your face. I would know, I don't know, maybe where are you from or what kind of people you hang out with. But when you go to a big city, it's a whole different story. It's like every day you see new people and different people, and you cannot grasp. Like even when you like, I had a plan of like going to a certain coffee shop, like like a lot of
Regularly.
times, so that I become a regular, so that I can meet the people who are like regulars there, so
You're
that
trying to
I can,
find
yeah,
the Cafe Yunus in Istanbul.
exactly.
I did the exact same thing, and yeah.
There is a coffee shop that I found there, and it's like it looks very much actually like more like Temarbuta, because it has a library in it, and they have like they do events, cultural events and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna be a regular here, and I'm gonna meet friends, and I'm gonna know the people. And no, no, no. When it's Istanbul, when it's a huge city, and it's a coffee shop in the center of the city where there's a lot of people who like tourists, a lot of people who come and go. There's no such thing as regular. Like you are the only regular there. The only people that you will build a relationship with are the people who work there.
Yeah.
And this is a bit of what happened, but it was very, very hard to actually. It wasn't as easy as in Beirut. But other than Istanbul being a very huge city, you're also a foreigner. You're also an Arab, and as an Arab, they don't like you there. And when I went to Istanbul, I went with the mentality that, okay, I'm not gonna go with those like stereotypical ideas, because like I mean, Lebanese people are racist, but when you come to Beirut, you will meet a lot of people who are not, you know? So I thought it's like that. I thought that, okay, I'm gonna go to Istanbul. Of course, there's a lot of people who are racist, but of course I'm gonna meet people who are not. And it's gonna be like Beirut. I'm gonna meet the progressive people.
Yeah.
And when you're in a huge city again, it's a different story, because it's very hard to meet those people. And you're dealing with racism every day. Although I learned the language, but I had an accent, of course. And the first thing that they ask is, where are you from? Once they hear your accent, like, where are you from? Lebanese, are you going back to your country? Like, the amount of times that I had to say, yes, I'm going back. I'm only here temporary. I'm not gonna stay here. I'm not looking to become a Turkish citizen. And when this is happening, like all the time, and at some point when people became actually violent against Syrians, and like a lot of videos were spread online of like some Turks beating Arabs and stuff like that, I started to become very scared of like, like, because like, for example, I have tattoos in Arabic on my arms. I started even to become scared. Like I started when I'm going out, like when I'm in the metro or something, to put like a shirt on me, because I was scared that someone would see the Arabic words on me and do something to me. I don't know. I started to I became paranoid. I was scared. And this is very new to me, because in Beirut I was very it's my city. What do you mean? Just giving an example.
No, because it's the process of being made to feel foreign.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not, and there's like no room for you to become. And this is the very toxic sides of nationalism, and in this case, Turkish nationalism.
Yeah.
Whereas even people born on that land, and here I'm thinking of Kurds and Armenians most importantly.
Definitely.
And then with Syrians, like leading up to basically the fall of Assad, and then like with a lot of, but still there's a lot of racism against Syrians in Turkey, because like some of them don't want to go back.
Yeah. I think that it became even worse after the fall of Assad, because now Turks are expecting the Syrians who were living there for 10 years to just suddenly disappear and go back to their home country. Like, I mean, some people went there, they were like, I don't know, 10, 11, and now they are like, they studied there, they went to college there, and they're working there. Their whole life is built there. What do you mean? Yani, what do you mean they have to, in a couple of months, leave to a country that is not even functioning, leaving everything they built behind? Like,
no, it's really shitty.
and sometimes, again, talking about like being privileged, sometimes it sounds silly. Like when people used to ask me, "Oh, how's living in Istanbul? We know that Turks are racist," and I'm like, "No, it's actually fine. My experience wasn't that bad." Because, like, what do you mean I would talk about my experience when there are people that are actually being beaten up, and people not being able to work, people not being able to find a house to rent because they don't rent their houses to Syrians, or yani, in some place you feel that you cannot talk about your experience because it's much, much, much worse for other people. But still, that doesn't mean that your experience was hard and you didn't feel welcome in the city. And
يعني أنا with this whole podcast project and a lot of these interviews I like to give people some space to center themselves لأنه بحس إنه like that's very true in a sort of a localized sense, like you're talking about Istanbul and Turkey more generally, but I think in general with everything we've been witnessing, especially in our region, you know, so it feels like very difficult, but to me necessary to at least for a second, for a moment, like as Lebanese, to talk about like the pain we're going through, acknowledging, of course, that it's incomparable to the pain that Palestinians are going through in Gaza and in the West Bank and in the world, like witnessing what's happening. So that's why for me, I've created this project to have like a moment, and especially because it's like I like talking to people who focus on those things, who write about the things, activists and writers, but like, and I mean, but in your work you do, there is like some of them are like autobiographical. I think your first graphic novel is quite autobiographical, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a collection of stories of different people in one character. It's not only my story.
I feel very bad. I still have not read it. I haven't been able to get a copy. Can I buy it online? But it's available online, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, for those listening. But no, yeah. In general, there's just I think even in the style that you draw in, there's a lot of yourself. I don't know if that's intentional or if that's just my reading of it. But regardless, so like, so that sounds really shitty. I'm really sorry I had to go through all that. And like, this I think is like a problem in so many different places, in the so-called centers. Hella, everything you're seeing now in the US and like how terrified migrants are there, or even just like minorities.
Yeah. I mean, we got used to genocide too much that now people who are struggling as immigrants feel that they can't talk about their daily struggles because like they're not dying, you know, they're not I mean, our standards are very, very, very low on surviving.
Exactly, like knowing what I left behind and knowing the situation and why I left Lebanon initially, it makes it very difficult and almost a bit like self-centering to be like, which is why I don't. But like at the same time, it's necessary to sometimes. But no, literally, whenever anybody asks me how I like living in Vienna, I answer very honestly, like not even trying to make a point. Like it's fine. There's 24-hour electricity. There's water, like in the taps. You know, groceries are relatively cheap. Rent is cheap. Yeah, these are the essentials, and that is how I kind of live my life. To me, as a white passing person, I can live in a kind of anonymity, which I like, in a way that I couldn't in Beirut. Like, because Beirut is very small, And if you live in an area like Khalas, like when I moved into my first apartment in Hamra, like the neighbors knew me before I even got there. Like when I was
Uh,
moving my stuff in, they were like, "Sorry, who are you?" "Oh, you're the young man who's gonna rent that apartment." It's like, oh,
mm, yeah.
which had its pros and cons, but yeah, when leaving, with everything that had already happened, like I left in 2021, um, I could see the writings on the wall. Things had already happened, shifts had already happened, so many people had already left. But so for the last 3, 4 years, I have been having this very classical kind of emigre experience of looking back, romanticizing, but then also constantly denying myself the ability because I'm very aware. So, like in the graphic novel, in A Letter Home, the whole point is like trying to find a way of being sentimental without being sentimental. Like, not to, like, nostalgic, but without rose colored glasses, you know? Like, not have this. And anyway, so basically, the last thing that you wrote, or the second to last thing that you wrote in the stories, which really, heck, impressed or like impressed upon me a very strong impression, was what you were writing about your decision to move back. And then, so like, I don't know if you want to talk or share more about like the making of the decision and then like expectations versus reality.
I mean, adding to being alien to the city and not being able to find the same type of communities that there was in Beirut, because of course I met people and I was able to make friends. I was also a student there, so this was also easier for me to like meet people on campus. But it was still not as like it wasn't the same, and also because I wasn't in Beirut, all my connections and like relationships were related to me being in the streets and being politically active. And
Mm,
in Istanbul, I couldn't because you just can't. They would like
yeah.
bring you back home. So uh, a big part of how I live my life or who I am was kind of disappeared. And I was also like trying to say like compromising in how I want to live my life. Like, yeah, I can't live the same way. I'm compromising on me being political, or I'm compromising having a community, or okay, but I'm live like I'm having better. I don't know. I have transportation. I felt very independent
Mm,
in Istanbul because I was able to move wherever I want because there were transportation everywhere.
mm,
And this is a huge problem in Beirut because in Beirut I never had a car. And whenever I wanted to leave outside of Beirut, I needed to like either to take a van that is not very easy, like it's not very comfortable. I meant to
mm,
to like use, and like if you wanna go on, I don't know, like trying to discover the country, there are no transportation that is connected to everywhere. So like if you need to live in Lebanon, you need to have a car. But in Istanbul, I didn't actually think about that.
yeah.
I never had a car, so in Lebanon it was a huge problem. In Istanbul, I was very liberated from the idea of needing a car, and it was something that I was enjoying and like experiencing what does it mean to be living in such place, and there are metros everywhere.
Mm,
And I was also like trying to like yani seeing the positive side of, okay, I'm in a new city that has a huge historical I don't know, culture, that I'm learning new things. I'm learning about a new history. I'm learning about new people. It was exciting. Not everything was like had to be I don't know, sad, but at the same time I felt like I was killing the old me, you know, like
yeah.
I had to, like as if I had to put the old me in a jar and just like move on. You know what, when they put this on the heads of the
Blinders.
horses
Yeah.
so that they don't just look straight, I felt like that. um the turning point, and I think this is the turning point for a lot of people, not only me, which is after 7th of October, after the Tufan and after the genocide. I was, I couldn't, it was a moment where really someone took these things out of my eyes, and I'm like, I can't be living like that where I'm running away all the time,
Mm.
keeping myself busy. And then, like, I was in a city where nothing was happening. I mean, there were some protests in some places in Beirut, but like the life was very normal there. Even people on campus. I was studying in a
Oh, you mean in
social science.
Istanbul? Sorry, you said there were protests in Beirut. You mean in
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Istanbul? Yeah.
Istanbul, sorry. But like I was studying in a cultural studies program, and this is like we were doing, like, I had students who were doing political science and philosophy and stuff like that, and these people, like, in Beirut, were usually the people who like do stuff when
Mm.
something like that happens. But in Istanbul, not like no one even were talking about what was happening in
Mm.
Gaza. And I was going crazy. I really was losing my mind how we are not doing anything, even on campus. And I really lost my temper in one of the classes because, like, we were it was a philosophy class on literature, and we were talking about Sartre, I think, and we were talking about the Nazis, and like if the people who were not Nazis but worked with Nazis were guilty or not. And then like one of the classmates was like, I mean, yeah, if you think about it right now, people are shaming artists who are going to. I remember there was a festival, and like there was in Berlin, maybe, or in Germany. I don't know if it's specifically in Berlin, but they canceled the Palestinian artist. Like
Mm.
they banned it or something like that. And then the girl would say, yeah, I mean, people were shaming Turkish artists who participated in that festival. But yeah, but I mean, it's not their job to do that, to like boycott the festival, because they are artists after all. And I'm like, ah! At this moment, like, I cannot take people around me not engaging in any kind of way, not even in our daily discussions about what's happening in Gaza. And then you say this in class. And this is where really I like opened the jar on myself. This is where, like, okay, the
Uh,
old Rawand
Came back
came back
out.
to life.
Yeah.
And then and I was really feeling like I don't think I can survive in a place where I am that alien all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, what does it mean? It felt like life has no meaning anymore. And I think that this is a collective feeling for a lot of people, especially after how the Western media dealt with the thing, after all the protests that led to nothing, as if it was so normalized for us to be killed. The genocide was so normalized. And the world is just, and you look at yourself and how you're living, and like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this what do you say, like, personal survival. What do they call
Yeah.
it? Has a name in English, I forgot about it. Like, I cannot survive alone. What am I surviving
Mm.
anyway? I'm not really, like, what am I doing?
Ma,
uh,
this is exactly it. Exactly. It's that. Yeah. Now I left. For me, it was very much like mental health reasons, right? Like I just wasn't able to handle it after the explosion, and then there were Israeli jets already, and this is a thing that's like never talked about because it's not airstrikes, it's not whatever. But no, it's terrifying hearing Israeli jets and drones, and thinking when's the next war. Like خلاص, like when are they going to stop just flying around and when are they going to do something? But then coming here and then finding it's got its own permutations, its own types of new types of depression and anxiety and whatever. And then the core of it is a lack of meaning, where it's like, what am I don't know. It's I've been grappling with that a lot. And to me, I focus on it. And to me, I think a lot of our issues, even before this current moment of like extremes, it's always been there. Like lack of meaning and like the lack of meaning being at the center of our I know like Sartre, like I my first foray, let's say, into philosophy, arts and the like was with existentialism. And I'm still very much like there. Um
Same.
yeah. Did you read all of the Camus?
I mean, I not all of it, but
Yeah.
like I am really stuck in the existentialism thing, even until now. Yeah. I mean, like after all these years, and I feel like old, like
Hmm.
because now like there are Gen Zs taking over things, and you feel like you want to step back a little bit. I swear, I feel like I want to step back a little bit. I'm saying like on politically,
Yeah.
and like I'm still questioning ethics because apparently they're not as clear in the world we're living in. Like what does it mean? Like the kind of ethics we have and wrong from right. These are like basic
Hmm.
knowledge, that you learn when you are a very like a baby, but somehow you keep on questioning those as you grow and with everything that's happening and until now and in my personal life I'm still questioning these because
We don't really know. I mean, we're still
yes,
through it, and it's like something that's decided. It's fluid. It's only based on our agreements of it. And so
yeah,
my experience being here, for instance, in Europe and seeing Europeans complain, even if they're complaining about like inflation, which I understand in terms of like people have X amount of money and so expenses going up just in real terms is scary or whatever. But no, you know this meme of it's from the film The Passion of the Christ,
mm.
where like you have Jesus like
Oh,
the
yes,
yeah bloodied, and there's the director complaining. Yeah, that's been my experience, like at least the first year or two. Like hearing people complaining about stuff and be like, but more recently in the last 2 3 years, I feel so alienated that I don't leave the house much.
mm.
Most of my community is back home, is online. Um, and so, but it's been difficult and it does make me keep going back to those like basics, which I think is good. It's something that I learned early on, like the fundaments of life,
Mm.
and of like that the people that I love are healthy and that I feel like I'm doing something meaningful with my time. But yeah, it just being out here, seeing people complain, yeah, brings you back to that kind of people's lack of priorities, what they're
Yeah,
complaining about, knowing what's happening and having a big scale picture of it, that it's not just happening over there, like it's these governments,
yeah,
and that like what's happening in the US, there's a boomerang effect, like you can't just champion a genocide over there and not have it literally come back because the dehumanization that I think basically to me why it's been very difficult with people. I just I find myself not being able to trust most people these days. If they're not like grieving and mourning and like
yeah.
thinking all the time, like I literally cannot trust them and I feel scared interacting with them because I don't know.
This is a horrible way of living.
Yeah.
Us being that paranoid of people around us and not having any trust in people that we have to deal with, living our life daily. This is really a horrible way of living. It's not. We shouldn't normalize this. This is
No,
shouldn't be
no.
a life of. Yani,
It's not normal. I know, like when I walk around, it takes me twice as much time to walk anywhere in the city. I mean, in most districts, because of the amount of Zionist stickers.
Yeah,
Like it just fucks me up. Um, I remember a year ago, a lot of people writing that, like some people who are living between, let's say, like Paris and Beirut, that they felt better in Beirut. That at least there wasn't that constant fucking like thing that like is
yeah.
that person a Zionist? Is that person literally IDF? Does that person think I'm not a human and whatever? It there's that kind of like collective also living within it. This is before the acceleration of the war, but
Mm.
you know, the threat of terror was always there, and the bombing of the South and all this stuff. But so I don't know. So yeah, how has it been being back? To ask another very easy question.
Yeah, I mean, uh, I said before I'm still processing because what we took for granted is not there anymore.
Hmm.
يعني the idea of a community of how we know it before 2019 is not there anymore.
Yeah.
A lot of people left. The spaces that we used to hang out in are not there anymore. Um, Everyone is politically depressed
Yeah.
and not engaging. Like there's nothing happening.
Hmm.
No political spaces whatsoever in the city. People are much more isolated on their like close friends, couples, married people. Um, there's a lot of detachment with the city itself because it was bombed just 8 months ago.
Yeah.
A lot of people lost their houses, so now they are displaced. Um, yeah, I really feel that the Beirut that we know, that we romanticize in our heads, is not there anymore.
Hmm.
And this was a like I was coming back to that Beirut that I know, and then coming back and knowing that it's not there anymore. I felt like I'm coming back to a place that I have nothing there for me.
Yeah.
There's no place for me, even the community that I'm coming back to. Because when I was coming back, I decided that I want to be politically active anymore. I want to see what's happening. Where are the people who are um, I don't know, there's a lot of initiatives that were happening, like to be engaged in, I don't know what's the word in Arabic, يعني إعادة الأعمار after the war.
Rebuilding.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
rebuilding, not like literal rebuilding
Hmm.
of homes, because I don't know how to do that, but like the whole rebuilding thing, I wanted to be engaged politically, to be able to like be part of this. And there's no such thing happening. Not even this is happening, because you know how things work in Lebanon. I don't have to explain that. And I felt that I'm coming to a place that I have no place in anymore.
Hmm.
And I'm like trying to learn how to survive Beirut again.
Hmm.
And I started at some point questioning my like decision of coming back, because apparently there's no coming back.
Hmm. But this is yeah.
I'm really
This is
sorry.
no. I know. No. Don't worry about it because this is like what I wrote in the book in A Letter Home. It's a poem, so it's quite deep. Sorry, it's a bit deep, you know. Listen, no, um, but it's partly me trying to clock the moment I was in as having just left, and so like we were dealing with a lot of stuff. But a lot of it to me was kind of preparing myself for what I know is the long process of it all. And a part of it is this recognition that so much of the Beirut we knew left us.
Yes.
The Beirut we knew, so it's not me leaving Beirut. And part of this was like cope. Like I was like kind of like, I didn't leave Beirut, Beirut left me, but in a way it's true. In a way that like خلاص, it's gotten to the point that there's this idea that we have of it that's stuck in a certain time and place and feeling with certain
Uh,
fantasies. What is this hitting?
yeah,
Yeah, no, because and a part of it is so much of our hopes, right? Like I just and I feel so privileged to have these experiences. Like some of those moments in 2019 during the revolution, during these being on the streets, seeing a kind of reimagined city, at least the small whatever, the
yeah,
conversations we're having, the kind
yeah,
of I don't know, but then even COVID, even the beginning of the economic collapse, the feeling of just being together with something.
yeah.
And so I think a lot of that then shifted in 2011, 2021. But then, okay, I think as an artist, you'll understand this, especially a visual artist. I was working on a story for a long time with Hisham that we ended up having to shelve. And for me, I was very obsessed with eyes because what I was experiencing being here is that I did not understand people's eyes. I
Mm,
when I would look at people like in Beirut, the part of the thing that for me made me feel like I had such a strong belonging is not just the land, not just the so much
it's
of the
the
things.
picture.
It's the people, but it's like when you look someone in the eyes, there's you can read so much so quickly. Type of person, but also especially after the explosion. You know what I mean? Like there's that immediacy when I would talk to someone and they'd talk to me, we'd look each other in the eyes and there's like a clocking of the moment,
Yeah,
and just we get it. Or then if someone says, my favorite thing that I've brought up in this podcast
it's
several
what
times.
we call connection, no? Like,
Yeah, but it's deeper than that because, well, yes, actually no, because connection is actually very deep. You're right. But there's also like a mutual recognition. Um, Whereas here, when I look at people, I can't make that connection. I look at them and I don't understand because there's a different people, there's a different culture, there are different traumas, but there's also not really a collective traumas or whatever. Lebanon
yeah,
is a bunch of collective traumas, in my opinion.
yeah.
But for what one thing that really fucking scares me, and this was we had a very, very weird story that we were developing. I still love it, but maybe for a later time. It would have been a graphic novel called The Corpse. Anyway, one of the themes for me is this idea that if I go back to Beirut, essentially, that I will not recognize people's eyes, that I will not be able to identify or connect, or that, you know what I mean? One thing that people kept, sorry,
I
I'm,
know what you mean.
huh?
I really know what you mean.
Like, for me, there was one thing that was really weird and upsetting, but difficult, which is I had a few people who are like Lebanese, they're Beirut, I've grown up with them, but they weren't there for the explosion. So when they came for vacation or whatever, they weren't able to connect with people.
Yeah,
And I had one friend complain to me that everyone feels like they're stuck in a bubble. And for me, there was a bit of, well, fuck you. It's not a bubble I want to be a part of. But then weirdly enough, it was like I actually felt sort of, this is gonna be weird. And I almost forgot we were recording. Like I'm really
it's
buzzing.
okay.
But it it did feel weirdly comfortable being in the in group, even with such a catastrophic situation or event. Um, and I could see the anguish that they were feeling of no longer being able to connect. And I think there's part of me that's like, I think that's going to be the same case with this war. يعني
Yes,
لما when people talk to me about the war, there's like oh yeah, that was terrible. But
I
then,
wasn't there.
yeah,
This is, I think, I'm definitely going through this. And you feel that all of the struggles that you were going through with your being an immigrant, just, yeah. I think that there is a lack of connection with the people that I was very, very close to. And there's kind of also add to it that like the coping mechanism of people trying to process what happened comes with a lot of cynicism to looking at the world, which is normal. We all have that to some point. Like, I feel like if you didn't go through the war, the last war in Lebanon, you maybe have a little bit of hope more. Like, I feel that I survived that trauma because when I came back here, I felt that I had much more energy and much more hope to do stuff and to be politically active again, while the people who were always active here don't have the energy to do that anymore and just trying to survive, which is absolutely normal. But at the same time, I felt like, okay, I felt exactly as if time stopped for me. Like life went on in Beirut, and then as if I'm coming back from 2019, you know? Yeah. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Rawand? What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Don't you see what happened? And I'm like, oh, so we're here now. Like, I'm really coming from the past.
Yeah. And then does that makes you feel strange as well?
Definitely.
So you're going from a strange situation to another strange situation.
Yes. Alienated again. Not knowing where what do I want to do with my life. Again, looking for the community that I thought that once I'm gonna come back, it's gonna be there for me, and it's not there anymore. It's completely, it's broken.
Yeah.
And yeah, you as if again you're coming back to a place that you are a stranger to, that you need to find your base again, like starting from the beginning again. And this is exhausting because, like, when you think about coming home, there's this kind of expectation of relief that's gonna happen, and then it doesn't happen, and you're like stuck. And like, where do I go with all this? Like, okay, what do I do now?
For me, what really helps answering these questions, or at least confronting them, reckoning with them. I've been thinking a lot with this word, with this verb, which is that we're definitely not alone in this, contemporarily.
Yes.
But as Lebanese, the first big film, first Lebanese film in Cannes Film Festival, Ila Ain, right? George Nassar, like 1957. Have you seen
I'm not sure I know about this film. Yeah.
Do you not know about this film? It's
I don't think I know about it. No.
They were playing it a few times in Metropolis a few years ago. But yeah, it's like the first film to enter Cannes, and so it's like still celebrated. There's like a remaster of it or whatever. Okay, spoilers. Do you mind spoilers for this 1957?
No.
Yeah. So the story is about a guy who leaves his family and goes to Brazil. And then he comes back, and all the kids are older, and he doesn't recognize anybody, and he can't come back. Yeah, there's that theme. And so I find that so fucking weird, but also comforting that this is like there's a history of this. Again, what I summarize with the Arabic word, which as far as I found, there is no translation, al-ghirbi. Like, there's no translation that encompasses all the different, because to me, ghirbi, I have a friend I think who disagrees with me, but I don't care. I prefer to believe this, that it has its root in like gharib, weird.
Yeah.
And so there's that alienation. But then there's that duality where, like, obviously the ghirbi is like also a place. I'm living in the ghirbi. I'm living here away from my home. And so I feel weird. But then the fucked up duality of it is that then after being here for X amount of time, going back, I still have that sensation. Like, you can never really leave the ghirbi. And this is basically the kind of thing that I was dealing with in the graphic novel, like the kind of projection of like And so I don't know. I don't know. It's tough.
Uh, I don't know. There's also this feeling of like responsibility that you have when you're talking about coming back to a community that okay, there's something that you need to do, like but at the same time when there's no base or when you don't know where to start or what to do, and you're like in that helpless position, and everyone around you is also in the same state of helplessness and just trying to survive for a long period of time,
Hmm.
for years. Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah,
It's
it
really
is.
tough.
It is. It is.
And it just, I think maybe that is what you're experiencing is some of that dissonance. The distance between, yeah, your experience in relationship to Beirut, then with the emigration and then coming back, and with those that have just stayed. But then also what's so fucked up, what's so, sorry, I keep saying this term, but it's what's really upsetting and why I found الغربة to be very difficult is because what I've noticed is that everyone experiences it differently. You know, like when you're in Beirut and something happens, because again, I don't want to get too extreme every time I talk about the explosion. I mean, I'm gonna do something like I remember a few weeks after, or like a week after, there was this like heavy thunderstorm at 4 a.m. And I remember I was awake, but when the thunder happened, like I felt it in my heart, the kind of like triggering. But what I immediately did is I went on Twitter. Hey, that EM Twitter, if you remember Twitter. But
What's happening? Yeah, we still do that right now here.
I know I'm off Twitter. I can't. It's whatever. But no.
Not necessarily Twitter, but whenever you hear anything right now, you go to, I don't know,
Oh
what's
no.
up or a news, like to know what's happening
Eh.
because
No, but it's my point when I wrote, then I would write on Twitter and be like, literally, I wrote, I remember, don't worry, guys, it was just thunder. And I
oh my
got, but it was so, I got so many comments and responses of people being like, and then seeing my Twitter feed in general, other people being like, what was that? Is that explosion? Was that just thunder? What's happening? I just woke up. And then I just kept going into each one of them and being like, don't worry, it was just thunder. Don't worry, it was just thunder, whatever. But there really was that sense, you know, my first interview was with Lina Munzir, and she was someone who I'd never met, and I still have never met, but like we were bonded. We're both Beirutis and like Beirut files, if we can invent a term. Sorry, but connected through Twitter and online stuff. But like, I think, I mean, that's definitely lost because I'm not there. And apparently, for instance, like I was talking to my mother, and she brought up the earthquake that happened in like 2022, 23.
yes,
To me, that's not, I don't, you know what I mean? Like when she brings it up, I was like, oh yeah, but it's not in my bones.
yeah, yeah,
But the
it's
scary
true.
thing is sometimes
It's in my bone though. I was
oh my God, you were in Istanbul. How, oh my God, you're deep
no,
in your
I
bones.
didn't feel it. It's just that the
You didn't feel the earthquake?
no, Istanbul was much more far away from the because it happened at the border of Syria.
Yeah, but isn't that,
No, we did not feel it.
oh wow, okay.
Much far away. Yeah,
Because in Lebanon,
yeah,
like
they
my
felt
mother
it
is still
here.
traumatized. Yeah.
Yes, yes. It's Lebanon is much closer to the earthquake than Istanbul.
Okay, okay. But no, yeah, it's like, I think this is my problem, or like when I think about it, and when I think about Lebanon as like communities of shared trauma. And I have a problem with identifying too strongly with trauma and like trauma bonding in general. My fear is that like, or rather how it's been happening or processing with me is that sometimes I feel, okay, this is gonna sound very weird, but I hope you know where I'm coming from. Sometimes I feel, and this might just be my own thing because I have a very complex relationship with like Lebanese identity. I feel less Lebanese if I don't experience the same traumas. You know what I mean? I know that
Yes.
sounds so petty, but because again, my friend who wasn't there for the explosion, when he comes back and he feels like an outsider, I got it. Like you know, but I couldn't meet him because I was very much in it, and it's like I fucking hate this, but I don't know what it's like to have not to be on the outside.
I think this comes from guilt as well because, like, this is I don't know if they call it survival guilt. Like, you're feeling guilty that you didn't experience the trauma as the people that you love and are part of your life. And this guilt makes you feel that you're less
Mm.
of what this identity is about.
But so then, is it a problem with
This
the?
is how I try to understand it. Like, because, like, if you think about it, our whole identity as Lebanese is living through all of these. It's
Mm.
what, like, war, I don't know, corruption, no electricity, blah blah blah, hummus tabbouleh. Like, it's part of the. I swear, it's part of the, like.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. Taboka Rawand, thank you so much for for joining. I really appreciate this conversation. After following your work for years, I knew that we would have a great, this is our first meeting, and I knew it would be as interesting and nourishing and heck relatable as this conversation was.
Thank
Um,
you. Yeah.
is
I
there
mean, I don't know.
anywhere?
I feel like I feel like I need to say something like, yeah, life is not that bad, guys. Like, I feel I need to say something because, like, it was very depressive what we talked about, and as if, like,
No, no,
it's the
no.
end of the world, but, like, I don't know.
It's politically depressed, but it's a space to be a
Yeah,
bit
so,
dark.
like,
But
what are you expecting? Of
yeah, yeah,
course,
yeah.
you're gonna be depressed.
But Sana, I don't. I do have many episodes where I'm constantly like, again, I don't want to get too bogged down in like, yes, we're politically depressed and that's not it, and like that's that. It's like constantly trying to find silver linings or like reimagining hope or midrish. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. It's like, don't worry, the audience are used to having pretty. I mean, because it wasn't
Okay.
that depressing though. This was just very real.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah.
but so where can people follow you? Where would you like people to, if you want to plug anything?
I don't know. It feels weird also because, like, they don't have to follow me. I don't. It feels weird because, like, nowadays, I don't know. It's just this thing about, uh like, whenever you're like, we're chronically online, and, like, at the end of everything you see like, follow me on this and this and this, and
Mm.
it becomes, like, so normalized that I'm still trying to understand how this is making me feel, but I feel like I don't want to be part of this asking people
Okay.
to follow me. Like,
Then
if you
don't.
want to
Yeah.
follow me, okay. I am online chronically. Like, you really don't have to. I mean, if you want to. Like, I don't share a lot of interesting stuff. Like,
No.
lately I have been just sharing memes.
They have their place. They have their time.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, you can. You don't
Yeah.
have to.
What like foodie memes whenever they drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tabakke Rawand.
Okay.
This is lovely.
Yes, it was very lovely.
And yeah,
Thank
take
you.
care.